Okay, the next thing that we'll be doing is making some adjustments to our curtain wall. I'm going to load Autodesk Family, and once there, I'm going to type in curtain wall. And I'm looking for curtain wall mullion. So the default mullion is fairly simple in its geometry. This one that I brought in has a lot more detail. So I'm going to go to level 1 and zoom in a little closer here. So you can see there's the curtain wall that I had drawn. Now, the first thing that I noticed is that it's flipped backwards. So when I click on it, I want to turn it so that the glass is on the exterior side. Maybe a little hard to see this with all the other line work that's going on here. But basically, I can see here that there is the insulated glass, and I want that to be on the left side. Also, I'm going to click on this curtain wall, and I want to move it over. So I'm going to click on the move tool here and move it over 10.5 inches. And that distance basically is going to help me to establish what happens at the corner. Okay, so now I have basically this generic curtain wall detail for the mullion, but I want to replace it with this new one that I just downloaded. I'm going to minimize here a little bit and go down to where the families are. And one thing that you'll notice here is that when I go to curtain wall mullions, there's a number of preset ones in here, including a rectangular mullion, this one right here. I think this is the one that's the default 2.5 by 5. Okay, and how do I know which one has been assigned here? If I click on the curtain wall and edit the type, if I go down to, actually it looks to me like none have been assigned to it. They're all listed as none. So what I'm going to end up doing is replacing out the interior type with the new one. Actually, with all of these, we'll be replacing with the new profile that I brought in. So going back over here, I have these that came in by default, but when I go down to profiles, I should see that there's a new one in there. Let's see, where did it go? Here it is, curtain wall, mullion, rectangular. And when I downloaded it and brought it brought in a number of sizes. This is the one that I'm going to end up replacing the existing one with. Now, it's kind of weird. It's like Revit needs to recognize it as a sort of mullion type. So I need to go back to the mullions, and I'm going to click on this one. And I'm going to end up making a duplicate of it. So when I right click here, I get an option to duplicate, and I'm going to rename this one 2.5 by 6, and I can get rid of this 2. Okay, now when I double click on it, it basically has a profile that says System Mullion Profile Rectangular. And what I want to do is pick the new one. This curtain wall mullion rectangular center is the one that I just brought in. And I'm going to click on OK. All right, so now when I go back to the curtain wall and I edit the type, and I suppose technically it would be a good idea to create a duplicate just so we have the default version still in there. So, you know, you could add your initials to it or call it 2 or something like that. I'm going to add my initials and click on OK. All right, now for the vertical and the horizontal mullions, so it's going to give you the option of doing different configurations for the different situations. So by interior, you know, we're talking about the ones that are not at the edges. So for these, I'm going to change them both to rectangular mullion 2.5 by 6. I'm going to actually go just down the list and change all of them. Now, if you were detailing this curtain wall, typically what you would do is you would kind of work with a particular manufacturer, and they would help you to sort of set the correct, give you the correct details that work with their product. Okay, now what I want to do is, so you can see this is the profile that was downloaded and brought in. Now what I want to do is move these over, and I think it is an inch that they need to move. This is the glass, so let me figure out how to do that. Okay, so I'm going to tab until I have this glass panel selected, and then I'm going to go to edit type, and the offset, I think that wants to be 0. Y and OK. Yeah, so you can see now that the insulated glass is sitting inside this little recessed within the profile. That's where I want it to be. All right, so just checking. You can see here, oh, there was one that was added, and I want to delete that one. So I'm going to go to, I'm going to edit the profile, go to section 1, and no, I don't want to edit the profile. What I want to just do is eliminate that mullion. I'm going to unpin it and delete it all. I have to do it in each of these locations. Unpin, delete, get them all. Because they're kind of broken at each horizontal. Okay, now I'll go back to level 1. And now that one is gone. Okay, so I'll have a spandrel panel right here that's going to conceal the steel column that's behind. Right now, what I want to do is go to the wall section. So let's minimize some of these. So under views and sections, the wall section for the steel is at the bottom here. All right, now we can kind of visualize this a little bit more. So what do we have here? We have this in this wall section, we have this curtain wall sitting here. It's situated a few inches off of the steel frame. It extends a little bit above the roof. So in the other wall sections, we had a much higher parapet. This one is going to be a shorter one. So we have these 2 horizontal mullions, which will have a spandrel panel. Then we have vision glass from here to here. We'll have another spandrel panel between these 2. And this one is a little higher than the floor because, I mean, there's a number of scenarios that could happen. There could be some kind of heating and cooling element that runs along the base at the window. We could have a raised floor system if, let's say, this was an office building, and so we don't want that glass to fall below the level of the floor if the floor was high. But there will be a spandrel between this that's going to conceal all the stuff that's behind. And then a similar condition down here, we could have, again, a raised floor, or perhaps there's some kind of mechanical system that's running along here, and we would want to conceal that. So this one will also be a spandrel panel. So when you develop details like this one that we're working on, you kind of need to pull perhaps from a number of different sources. So our detail is going to look somewhat similar to what you see here. This is coming from the textbook. And again, this is a kind of a short parapet, or, you know, a low coping is what we have here in this condition. You can see here, this is a sort of section of what looks like insulation. And again, the reason for this is that these are not vision panes. In other words, we can't see through them. So this is called an insulated back pan that they're using in the spandrel panel sections. And what you can see is that there is an angle here that is tied back to the steel. And that's what's securing the curtain wall, keeping it from falling forward or into the building. There's one here, there's one located right here. In between the floor, we have a smoke seal and fire saving. This component here is called out as a bent steel plate, the part that attaches the curtain wall frame. You can see here that there's, you know, spandrel glass noted and what they're calling a shadow box. So this whole thing makes up this spandrel panel, whereas this one here is the vision glass.